Before I start, if you like this mini-series we've created about the worst mistakes when preparing your R&D tax claim, let's not diddle-daddle. Let's get right into this week. The best way to have your client will be
enraged.
Please subscribe. It helps us out loads. Right, let's get into it. Do you think getting a grant will affect your client's R&D tax claim? Well, yes, it does. How? Well, stick around and find out on today's episode of the R&D Tax Show. Let's go! Welcome to the R&D Tax Show, where we help accountants, tax advisors, and their clients claim R&D tax relief. Today's episode is part 3 of a 5-part series where we discuss the worst mistakes when preparing an R&D tax claim. These mistakes are from the horse's mouth. HMRC's website. What is state aid? State aid is any advantage given by a public authority to an organisation. So this includes the UK government or the EU giving a grant to a company. Notified state aid is only given by the EU. Big tip 1. The SME R&D tax scheme is notified state aid. So what does this mean? Well, if a company has received notified state aid, then it cannot claim R&D tax relief under the SME scheme. It can, however, still claim under the less generous version of the R&D tax relief, which is RDEC. Remember, RDEC is almost 2/3 less generous than the SME scheme. Big tip 2. Your client's grant documentation will let you know what type of grant they received. So if they've got notified state aid grant, it will say in the documentation. So where is the mistake? The mistake happens when your client receives notified state aid and then also claims R&D tax relief under the SME scheme. By doing this, they're overclaimed by 2/3. Obviously, when HMRC find out, your client can get into trouble. Well, what should you do? I think the easiest way to look at it is just tell you what we do. So at one of our clients, they've created an innovative chamber to help plants grow better. The chamber can regulate temperature, moisture, light, and so on. As the development was so groundbreaking, our client got some grant funding from Innovate UK. So before I start the R&D tax claim, I asked the client for the grant documentation to establish the type of grant received, and in this case, the grant was notified state aid. I think it's quiz time. So our client spent £325,000 on this project. Almost 300k was from the grant money, and the balancing £25,000 was the client's own money. How much of the 325,000 falls within RDEC, and how much falls within the SME scheme? So what's the answer? As the project was funded by notified state aid, all of the £32,000, all of the £325,000 was counted under our RDEC. There's another thing to consider when you look at funding. Going back to our plant-loving client, if they had instead received de minimis funding, only the funding received on the project would fall under RDEC, and any of the company's personal money would fall under the SME scheme. I think to establish this and make this more clear, we'll have another quiz. If our plant-loving client spent £150,000 on the project with £100,000 of grant money, de minimis funding, how much of the total £150,000 would fall under the RDEC, and how much within the SME scheme? And the answer is £100,000 would fall under RDEC, the balancing £50,000, which was the personal money, would fall under the SME scheme. C. It's important to know the type of grant your client has received. One final thing before I go. So, during the pandemic, the government has given out financial assistance, and this assistance does fall under state aid. So you need to find out what type of state aid this is. Some of it will be notified state aid, and others will be de minimis funding. If you have to take away one thing from this episode, it's this. Always ask your client if they receive funding and ask for those grant documents. It's probably technically two things, but you get my point. This will ensure that the R&D tax claim is prepared correctly and you don't fall into the trap as identified by HMRC. So next week we'll go through the fourth worst mistake when making an R&D tax claim. If you've got any questions in the meantime, just drop me a message and I'll catch you next week. Goodbye. Our channel is the holy grail to gain knowledge on how you can help your clients claim R&D tax relief. We upload a video every Thursday at 10 AM. These videos can be technical, but we talk about the principles and fundamentals, so grab your notepad and pen. And some are case studies where you can get an idea of real life scenarios whilst enjoying your brew.